President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, on Tuesday, January 21, released the third and final batch of his ministerial nominees. A statement issued by Mr. Felix Kwakye-Fosu, acting spokesperson to the president, copied to the Ghana News Agency, said the president had submitted the names of his nominees to Parliament through the Speaker for prior approval to serve as ministers of state and regional ministers. So let's take a look at them. And just as you see, we do have Dr. Edward Omane Boama, who will be going to Ministry of Defense. Samuel Nete George, MP, Ministry of Communications and Digital Technology and Innovations. Kofi Idi Adam, also Ministry of Sport and Recreation. We do have Emmanuel Ama Kofibua, MP, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Okay, so next beside him is Kwabena Minta Akando, who is heading to the Ministry of Health. Again, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, Ministry of Interior. And then we do have Joseph Bukari Nikbe, who is headed to the Ministry of Transport. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa'S, quite very popular of late, is headed to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Again, Kenneth J. Gilbert is going to the Ministry of Works and Housing. Abdul Rashid Pelpo is also going for Ministry of Youth and Employment Jobs over there. Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum, again, is going to serve. And then we do have Felix Kwakye-Fosu, who is the acting, I should say, spokesperson to the president or of the president, and he's going to government communications over there. And Isifu Seidu, MP, again, Minister of State over there. So these are the names that the president has made mention so far, and the president also nominated the third final batch, and that, as you see, including Mr. Poisson Charles Loanga, who's the Upper West Regional Minister designate, Mr. Joseph Adai Akwaba, Bono Regional Minister designate, and Mr. Francis Owusu Entry, Bono East Regional Ministers. So these are the list, the hottest list you see on your screens. But perhaps let me just take a brief, profile of the people you'd want to know or see more in the various ministries. So, for instance, Dr. Edward Kofi Omane Boama, as we do know, he served as Minister for Communications and was before the spokesperson for the NDC government. Again, Samuel Nete George, who is very quite popular in the political space. MP for Ningo Pram Pram, obviously the one championing the LGBTQ agenda, the bill to be passed. Kofi Adams, MP for Buem, from the, he's also served as former national organizer. But we want to have a conversation specifically about Okudzeto-Ablakwa'S. As we do know, he's very quite popular. He's been with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa'S also represents the Parliament in terms of his constituent in North Tongue constituency in the Volta region as a member of Parliament of the National Democratic Congress. Now, Ablakwa'S has, very significant positions, including Deputy Minister of State and President at Tamils, and John Dramani Mahama. He also was appointed as a Foreign Affairs Minister designate during the president. He has been, during Mahama's administration, and for the second time since. So today we just want to look at his prospects, because once again his name has come up going to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and this is an individual who has been really, intercepting document, very vocal, as most of you know, leading and championing the oral team and operations and all of that. It's quite very interesting that he's going to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. But in all of this, how is his representation going to bode in terms of our foreign engagement or our bilateral relationship, and I should say diplomatic relationship with our neighboring countries, all beyond will be? Perhaps we would have to get some perspective on this conversation. And joining us is Dr. Ishmael Hlovam to perhaps delve into. He is an international relations expert. Doc, we're grateful that you could join us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners and viewers.
Great. I mean, before you even speak about the personality Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, definitely you would want to, give us what you make of his appointment as to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. But we know that he's a strong political background and has held various key positions as Deputy Minister of State and Information and all that. But how do you think his experience so far will influence Ghana's Foreign Affairs Ministry?
Okay, thank you. I am not surprised that he was given that portfolio, given that when the NDC was in opposition, he was their ranking member on Foreign Affairs. He was a ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. So he is able to gather enough information about Ghana's current foreign policy situation, given that position that he held. But then when it comes to foreign policy and, for that matter, managing Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he's quite equipped to lead that ministry. But then he also have a lot to learn, given that he's not had that any experience within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, unlike the person who is just left that position, Shelley Ikeboche, who was Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, so who have learned a lot before assuming the full responsibility as a Foreign Affairs Minister. But given his stature as a politician and what he has done over the years, I think that he brings a lot of youthful energy to the job, and he will be able to bring a lot of vibrancy to Ghana's foreign policy if he brings his experience from education, from communication, the fall, and also looking at his academic journey. He has courses in foreign affairs, and I'm sure that in terms of preparation, yes, he has made some. He has been well prepared to handle it. So he's somebody who has watched the foreign policy terrain of Ghana very well, and I'm sure that at least that role within Parliament has well equipped him to be able to handle the pressure that comes with foreign policy, particularly at this time that we have a major issues to deal with in terms of the sub-region. And fortunately for him, there have been somebody who have been appointed as an envoy to the Sahel states, and so that makes his work a little bit easier. That person will focus more on the Sahel, and he can then focus on other issues of international importance. So yes, he brings some pedigree to the office. But he also have to learn very fast.
Right. You talk of the fact that one, yes, he has to learn, and he brings some kind of pedigree to the ministry. But what exactly are the initiatives in terms of diplomatic strategies would you, as an expert, suggest in order to strengthen Ghana's role in regional organizations like the ECOWAS and the UN?
So key among the things you have to do is to learn fast how to play a neutral role, particularly within the sub-region where we have the Sahel states against ECOWAS. He must find a way with the envoy that has been appointed to be able to play a mediating role. And if you are able to play a mediating role, then you will be able to have a lot of influence both within ECOWAS and also within the Sahel state. That will give Ghana a major credit in the international community. If we are able to reconcile or bring together ECOWAS on one hand and the Sahel state, that would be a plus in the caps of him as a foreign minister and Ghana as a country. Within the UN, he must be conscious of the geopolitical terrain that he's been thrown to as a foreign minister, and must be very cautious not to jump to be seen as defending one major power against the other. So yes, he should trade consciously. He must engage the Western powers. For instance, the United States recently, they have been putting pressure on the IMF to ensure that the Ghana government honor the debt obligation to U.S. companies. Yes, he must have an engagement with the U.S. in terms of Trump coming to deport illegal residents in the U.S. There are Ghanaians that will be involved. He must be at the forefront of trying to find a solution that will not put undue pressure on our citizens there. So he has a number of things to be engaging before they even start. So I expect that after the approval, the first thing that he wants to do is to have a way to have some negotiation with U.S. authorities on how to repatriate Ghanaians and resettle them here in a manner that does not affect those individuals if they are found to be living in the U.S. illegally, so that they can have a meaningful life even as they return home. So you have to engage them before some of the deportations will be taking place. So he has to have his own arrangement with U.S. authorities. He must also not be seen to only be engaging the U.S. He must also engage other partners like the Chinese, given our economic relations with China, try to have those personal visits here and there and meet top-ranking Chinese officials and try to see how they can tap into resources and other things to help develop Ghana. So on his personal and of course as a country, he must be well-balanced his approach to diplomacy and international relations.
Right. Doc, again, I would want to find out from you, just as you talk about geopolitical strategy and all of that. Now, considering the fact that, the political climates that we are, what type of geopolitical strategy would you say if he does implement or he tries to implement in terms of putting, key measures in playing diplomacy for Ghana is something that he should paramount in the interim, should he be approved?
So I think that given what we are facing now, he should be more focused on an economic diplomacy. He should be more interested in leading a situation where Ghana make deals that are economically profitable to the nation. So must not be seen too much focusing on geopolitical conflicts that do not directly affect Ghana. Of course, we also have interest in some of those conflicts, and we have to take a position. But if taking side in a geopolitical conflict will be harmful to Ghana's economic interests, given the period we are in, then he has to be smart enough to avoid those situations and focus more on the economic opportunities that this country can get from outside our shores to build a nation.
Great, Doc. We're grateful for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Dr. Ishmael Hulovo is an international relations expert and